Let's be off. You betrayed Graven Ash, the Legion, and our northern countrymen. As far as I'm concerned, you are a traitor to this campaign. I don't know what you expected would happen, but I'm only too pleased to disappoint you. Let us be clear on one point. You have my blade, but my heart belongs to Ash and the North. I am a weapon bound to you only by duty, nothing more. Fatebinder, I'm a little busy right now. Couldn't you find someone else to babysit your curiosity? What can I do for you? The thought has crossed my mind from time to time. During the many battles of the Conquest, we found ourselves standing back to back with enemies on all sides on more than one occasion.
The big guy here is as useless as an empty scabbard without his phalanx to keep him alive, but I move fast enough to compensate for it. And it's nice having a living wall of rusted iron I can use for cover.
I would suggest that our fighting styles complement each other, but they do not. I would suggest that we get along, but we do not. We don't even finish each other's
sentences. Okay, that was strange. Did you hear that? The next time I catch a whiff of Barrick's meaning, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Absolutely not. Our fighting styles are incompatible, and any disfavored lieutenant will tell you not to join at the hip soldiers who can't stomach each other.
I'm inclined to agree. If you want to pair up fighters, there has to be some great passion or magnetism between them. We don't have it. I think that because I don't want to covers it pretty well. Training alongside this self-important braggart is likely to sap whatever patience I have left.
I can see that you're out to serve the best interests of the war, but we are accustomed to handling ourselves as individuals rather than as a pair. A valiant attempt, but I'm not as easily swayed by your courtly tongue.
Neither am I. At least, not in this context. So, the Scarlet Chorus and Disfavored are at each other's throats. Can't say I didn't see that coming, but the Archons might have waited until one war was over before they started another. Fighting with the Scarlet Chorus? Oh, never doubt yourself for backing the winning team. The Chorus has the best chance of succeeding in the tiers. For all their skill, the Disfavored are too stubborn by far. Who can say? War is all about compromising your morals, deciding who lives and dies. What seems like a mistake turns into your greatest call down the road. I'll say this much, our time together is anything but dull. My blades are yours for as long as you'll have me. What do you need? You've just got to know, don't you? I suppose there's no point in hiding it. Barrick and I are siblings, and we share a father, if little else. I try not to think too much about some northern merchant dropping anchor in my mother's port, but it happened, and the fortunate result stands proudly before you. There were a lot of lazy days during the conquest, and among other things, I spent my off hours using messenger birds as target practice. You should have seen Ash's anger when he heard that was going on. One day, I snagged a bird that flew from the hands of a proud northern daddy. The missive was about the goings-on at the family farm. I recognized the name and handwriting from a note in my mother's belongings. There weren't too many people named Barrick in the army, so tracking him down was no challenge. I cornered him in camp, and we shared a few heated words. Some blackmail, even.
She tried to extort rings from me, and I was having none of it. Not even Graven Ash would think less of me for our father's indiscretion.
I like your confidence, but my ring belt is feeling a little light these days. Maybe you want to take me up on that offer, or I can start whispering in disfavored ears. Think about it. I've tried to get along with that ironclad knot of repression, but it would seem he's having none of it. Good riddance, then. The war has tossed us together, but nothing says we have to keep that going. The most we do for each other is try not to get the other one killed, which is more than you can say for most disfavored in Scarlet Chorus.
Well, Verse has a nasty habit of jabbering in my ear and making this war intolerable. I plan on parting ways and returning to the north at first convenience. My father will answer for his infidelity. Beyond that, I am happy to consider myself in every way unaffected. My superiors once accused me of having an impulsive streak, but I have worked to suppress it at every turn.
When you go back home, send Father my fondest greetings and thanks. If he hadn't gone to ground on my mother's dry dock, I might not be here today.
My heritage was a point of pride and distinction before I met you, Verse. Not that you would care.
I've asked myself about that several times, but unfortunately I don't have what you'd call a definitive answer. The Northerners put a lot of meaning behind family and blood. Seems arbitrary to me, but I don't want to discredit it entirely. I told you about what happened to my Scarlet Fury sisters. The hesitation I experienced. Sometimes I wonder if that wasn't because of my connection to Barrick. He's stubborn, regimented, everything I'm not. I suppose there's no telling for sure, but if I had to guess... Yeah. Sometimes I get messed up in my head, and learning I had a brother has helped me understand that better. What do you need?
The thought has crossed my mind.
The big guy here is as useless as an empty... If you want to attach some arcane meaning to the whole thing, be my guest. I couldn't tell you for sure. I doubt that a capable tactician could explain why certain soldiers learn to rely on each other.
In the disfavored ranks, the Oathbound seem to know more about synchronizing their efforts, and the same could be argued for the Scarlet Furies. I don't know how they pair up their units, but it isn't by virtue of blood.
At least in theory, I'm supposed to be observing history and not getting myself wrapped into it. All the same, this is the thrill of a lifetime. Rarely does one stand so close to monumental moments in the making. For the moment, the Scarlet Chorus could be considered an ally. Let us hope the Archon of Secrets continues to find you entertaining enough to remain friends. The Disfavored, on the other hand, will be a certain threat. The Civil War has removed Ash's pretense to play well with others. So, I must ask, are you planning on taking sides in the Civil War? Or do you have other plans? Dutifully spoken. It is Tunon's duty to arbitrate matters between the Archons, so this rift between Ash and Nerat certainly falls under his jurisdiction. And here you are, thrust in the middle of the dispute. No doubt the mighty adjudicator will be relying heavily on you to get to the truth of the matter. Whatever you do next, consider that many eyes will be upon you, for you have both delivered and taken away the Overlord's edicts, and few will know how to make sense of the latter. You are an exception the Archons cannot afford to ignore. They will likely aim to control or destroy you. Most of Kairos' edicts were either worded to end in a manner of the Overlord's choosing, or the edicts have simply continued in perpetuity. That's not to say there haven't been stories of broken edicts. They're just uncommon. The oldest is, I think, Golbraith and the Edict of Sorrows, and that tale dates back to around the year 110. Aside from you, the most recent was the Edict of Twisting Grasses, back in 380. In all these stories, Kairos' edict very clearly gives its victim a single way to escape, and someone manages it. What's never happened is the pure abatement of an edict, like using a spell of warding or cancellation. Of course. How can I help? All kinds of things. My mind is old, memory's a sieve. Keeping track of you, noting what I hear of the war, scribbling down reminders to myself, that sort of thing. Oh, certainly not. But it depends on the ink I'm using. Too much cerulean and I can't sleep. But just the right amount, and I can write all night. The red ink will give you swamp bottom if you drink it, but absorbed through the skin, it'll make you taste colors and smell music. Speaking of which, I should change out my tip. I use 3 kinds, sepia, cerulean, and a red that's never the same shade. My recipe needs work. I like having 3 colors, but they also provide different, states of mind for writing. Well, yes. If I'm worth my weight in tin as a craftsman of record, future generations will know of you. So yes, the Archon of Posterity sent me. You seem troubled by something that ought to be an honor. Oh, no. I'm trying to observe you. Corroding your mind is not part of the plan. I am nothing if not a semi-reliable font of knowledge. What did you want to discuss? You mean what's left of them? What would you like to know? The sages are archivists, academicians, and arcanists. Our mission is to preserve the knowledge of today for the good of tomorrow. Though we are known for our magic, few realize that most sages concern themselves with scribal work. Only a select few have the talent or focus to work the sigils. Each sage benefited from the scrolls of learning that came before him, and so each sage must repay this boon by gathering, authoring, or translating new texts to the stacks. But all that's a bit generous. It's no secret that the sages were far more happy to add knowledge than to share it.